Alright, welcome back everyone, Mark Sajan here again, and today we will discuss hair and clothing in general. So let me start with the female ZPR project from Lightbox. This is coming with the software. This is an ArtStation resource, I think. And so here's a little model. So the first thing is that when you're creating hair or clothing, you have to have an idea, so you have to collect references, just have something in your mind. Otherwise, it's fairly hard. In some situations, you are in between, so you don't really know what fits well with the figure, or it's in the process. So you may want to create some few things that helps your work. Now, let me just reduce the visibility in here and insert a simple sphere, and we will start with the hair model. So let me go to the left view and just turn on perspective in general, P, and just move it in here, and this will be the base for the hair. Now you might be surprised, but we'll fit this in as like a brain inside the skull. Okay, so that will be the approach. Let me turn on transparency, reduce slightly, and I don't have to be really accurate with this, but the closer the better. Okay, so this is where we are now. Of course, we don't want to intersect with the eyeballs and going through that session, so let me turn on Shift F just to be make it a little bit more visible. And going back to draw mode, of course the brush size here is too big because this model is unified. This is a fairly small model. So going on, and we are using a knife tool, and where are you, knife curve, and start from here. Okay, opposite direction, so just let me and hold Alt, release it. Okay, I'm not holding and pressing, and I can use the space bar. I'm still holding Control and Shift just to be able to perform the cutting, and then just release, and there we go, boom, there we go. Okay, if we want, we can make another cut and hold on and just add a nice curvy thing, so we don't want to get these in the way. Okay, so yeah, usually this is coming best if this one is Dynamesh. So let me go in geometry and look for Dynamesh, and this is already Dynameshed because it's a polysphere. So let me go and just crank up the resolution. This is the 32. This is fairly low, and it was 32 when it was created. So if you use the same 32, once it is scaled down, that will be really coarse. This is about 500 now for this reason. So let me just click and drag and refresh it, and it's still fairly low. So I will double it to a 1K resolution. And if you see something like this, that you have adjusted the slider, Dynamesh is on and still not changing, the reason is Dynamesh will only update if you have a minor change. So shift and tap on the model, that's enough, and control and drag, and now it updates. Alright, so that's how it goes. So this is just the hair proxy, so I will just rename it to hair proxy and 001. And duplicate it right away. It's the best tactics if you have these are not huge models, there's no big under history, so if you just duplicate it for itself, that's fair enough. I will just turn this off, and remember 001 is usually the original, so it's easy to keep track of it. Okay, so this is our model and how to progress forward. We can sculpt through this whole thing. So BCT, clay tubes brush, and symmetry is on. So right now I'll start with having some bangs in here in the front, for example. And of course you have to sculpt it until it goes through. So if you are just impatient, you can use the move brush to pull a little bit more, but this is how it works. So we can turn off transparency now, Shift F, and now we have a structure, and Control drag, and just start building it up and moving this whole thing. So that is about, for example, the bangs. Now the other thing is I want to add something here. So I'm pressing a little bit more, and these hairs are coming from the side. Maybe will be tucked behind the ear. So that is the idea this moment, so I'm trying to making good strokes that are easy to recall and adding more volume here, starting with lighter strokes and just looking for how is it possible to fill this up. That's correct. Adding more. These are less in the way because these are not tucked in, so maybe this will be a first layer of hair. So there will be an underlaying structure. And yeah, this is the second layer. So you can keep that in mind, which one comes first. All right, let me just build this up. And here in this area, I will be out of material soon. So now I'm just working on the main volumes. Maybe there will be a parting line. We have symmetry on, which one is, you know, it's good, but it's not ideal in all cases. So let me just walk through here. Okay, so this is the main volume for the figure. I see that I definitely need to add more in this area. And yeah, we want to make it longer, so BMV. Again, so this is just a basic, very rough sketch. Practically, it's like a 3D sketch. We're just looking around what's possible, what works with the figure. Maybe if I'm pulling this a little bit to the front, that makes it more cute. Or maybe if we are adding more volume or a case. So that's the more rotating around. Do I need more volume here? But just by judging, she has a fairly wide face. So in this case, this fully symmetrical stuff, it's just make her face a little bit more wider. So these are the design decisions that you can make. Look around and just explore before you do this. So look for the faces and not just look for a hair as a reference, but look what type of face fits with that type of hair. Okay, this is from this side, it looks okay. From the front, perspective is off, so I will turn back on perspective. It helps me a little bit. And yeah, I see that if we have this one side is tucked behind the ear, then maybe this side should be a little bit more straight in a manner. So this is the first thing. All right, now how to move forward with this one. If you want to add further parts, you can always just go in here and select this element and duplicate and just start sculpting certain areas. This is one way. The other technique is if you split this up. So here we have the model, and if I'm pressing Shift F, this is how it looks. Let me click on solo, and we have a few polygroups. Now I want to keep one polygroup. The polygroups are there because we have used knife tool. So I'll press Ctrl W to reassign a new polygroup, and using the split function. So Ctrl Shift, and symmetry, we don't care about symmetry right now. So knife curve, instead of knife curve there, it will be the slice curve. And the first thing I want to slice off is this front. So going here, press Alt, and just moving over, and this would be the bangs. So that's a split. Okay, so now how to work with this one. We are isolating it, so we're select rectangle, and I will skip this node. So I can easily switch between now these things. So Ctrl Shift, tapping on it, and here we have something. This was already in here, so I have a split mask points, but you can find it here. So we can split hidden, so everything that's not visible will be a separate model, or split unmasked point, which one means basically this is separated from the main mesh. The result will be the same basically. So I will just split unmasked points now, and okay, and see if everything is, oh, I had no mask. Yeah, so split hidden, and going back, now this is two main models. Okay, how to move from here. Let me select the new little bangs part at the front, and as you see, this is not a solid model. So what to do to make it solid? We have Dynamesh, and it still remembers the Dynamesh settings. So if I'm controlling and dragging, this will fill the gaps in. Okay, the other thing that I like to do is a simple light stroke around. And if you want to make it perfectly symmetrical, you can always go here, for example, in modify topology, mirror and weld, and it will be perfectly symmetrical. And then you can turn back on symmetry brush, even if the cut was not symmetrical by default. And you can go in here to Dynamesh and just remesh it and recalculate. So there we are. This is it. Let me go to solo, and as you see, here's the rest. So the rest, I will cut the rest further apart. Before I do that, so let me just click on the model, and now it's active. Let me hit on solo, and before I do that, I want to fill this in. So Control drag, it will fill it in automatically. Control W to make it a single poly group, and maybe a parting line should be somewhere here, somewhere around the middle, not perfectly, but somewhere around the middle. Control Shift, and again going back to slice curve, starting the slice curve, starting from the opposite. I'm holding down space. Basically, when I do this and I recognize that, okay, the line, the shadow is somewhere else and I have to flip it over, here it doesn't matter. But when you have to flip it, usually this is a simple technique that you're holding the space bar, moving it away, lifting it somewhere higher, lifting the space bar, and because the origin, the first point here remains there, you can use this technique. Okay, so it's a little bit like parking a car. Okay, so there we are, and starting here, and press Alt to add some curviness, and I will cut through here. So there we go. And again, Control Shift, going back to select rectangles, select the model, and Dynamesh, Control drag, Dynamesh it. Okay, I can't Dynamesh it because I haven't split it yet, so split hidden, and Control drag Dynamesh, and now it works. And just simply using the simple smooth brush just to have a little bit nicer, cleaner edge around. Control drag and Control W to make it a single group. Okay, do the same thing with the others. Let me go and click solo, selecting this one, please. All right, isolate with solo and Control drag. Now I don't have to split it again because it is already being split. And Shift F and Control W just to make sure I want a different color to help the work and make it a little bit looking different. Alright, let me go back with solo mode, and here we are. So these are the parts we can work on, and if we want to use the BCT brush, we can use it with Alt, pressed in, and just add a parting line, work on that, and BMV brush, move it around. If you want to lift this up, it's fairly easy. You can design a nice parting line as you wish, and of course smoothing works. Pulling it, have a nice cross section. And what I wanted to try on is BMV move, for sure that we have move on, and just having this in a little bit different manner, because again this too symmetrical approach was really widening for her face, which one is not cool all the times. So let me just smooth it out using a BFA flatten brush again, because it will give us a structure. So I'm just using the flatten brush size, and then we can use the normal BCT, BCT or BCA is also working nice. BCA, maybe it's not as strong as this one. Yes, and it helps to just to get the structure. Okay, so here we go. This is the basic design, and of course we can do more and more, but it fits better with the figure. Maybe at the top this is too much. BC, okay, BMV. Just let me do this. I'm looking for the silhouette. You can always make this slightly bigger and look around for a silhouette. How easy it is to recall. I think it's a nice and fairly even hand look. Okay, so that's about the design. Now how to make it, how to add more If you have to do some quick details or local details, this is the selected one. We can use the mesh balloon, which one is a great little tool I like to use a lot. So hold down control, and mesh balloon is here. This is how it works. So you're holding down control and just creating a kind of silhouette, and this is the model, and it's just instantly created. This has a decent density. Now this model is part of the original one. This is why I have the split masked points or split unmasked points in here. So subtool, again, let me show this here. So we have this split unmasked point, and this is what happens. Split masked points will save this one for you. Okay, so this is the main difference. If you want to work on this part, you should use this one. If you want to work on the new part that you have created, you should use the split masked points. Okay, so that's the main benefit of using them. And BSH, and the BSH is the snake hook. It will touch Sculptors Pro, but Sculptors Pro is not that good with preserving volumes in a situation like this. So I like to use Sculptors Pro and in combination with the Dynamesh. So using the larger brush size and just pull it. Move elastic is also fantastic for these kind of things. And this is just simply just having some rough ideas again on how to position some kind of a free hair strands. Okay, what happens if it falls on the face? So you can do these things around. But first, this is you just draw out and just refine this on the go. So let me just use a smaller brush size, and this could be one strand. Let me refresh it. Okay, so you can create a couple of these if you wish. You can also make a copy, Ctrl-Shift-D, and just move it around, and just change a few things. So rotate it here, tilt it, and going up, and see how it goes. So just like pulling it back and looking around. Right, so just to add some details. All right, so this is one thing that we can do. Now, how to move forward with the hair. If you have a hair idea, you have a couple pictures, this may be something that I haven't shown this, but it's coming up with hair a lot. So let me use a BMV and make it a little bit longer because I want to create a straight cut. Okay, so of course we need to have the bangs right there, but we want to make it wider slightly in the straight cut. I'm using the Alt key to add volumes, and of course we don't want to interfere with the side. So we want to cut this and use the simple knife tool. Okay, where are you? So if you have an exact length, or you want to cut hair threads or something length, use the knife tool, cut this off, and there we go. Even if this is a technique that you can use as well. So you can use Control, simple masking Control, mask pen, holding Control. Now this mask is protecting this area, maybe blurred a little bit. And we can go now and use a knife and cut here. And okay, why is it not protecting as expected? Okay, well, this should work, but it's not. Oh yeah, okay, I remember. So not this one. I will use the clipping brush, clip curve, and clip it off. And now the clip curve is working this way, so it's not destroying the mesh. This is why it's not working with the knife tool, excuse me. So you can protect some areas and cut off just the parts. It's not truly a cut, it's clipping. But we don't really, what's the difference between a cut? Cut is replacing the surface, clipping is just pushing the surface to that area. So these polygons, these were existing before we did the thing. But when the clip brush is used, the clip brush is pushing these up to that area. So let me just undo. And of course, Control drag to clear the mask, Control drag, and it refreshes, and now you have this this thing. Okay, this looks ugly. Okay, it was pointless to do, but I wanted to explain, because sometimes you want to only cut a certain parts, or you want to cut a pattern in it, and this is a great little trick that you can use on not just hair, but on any other areas. So we have the move, and yeah, Ctrl W, and just move it slightly out of the way, and so certainly we can just pull this out if we wish. Okay. All right, so there we are. This is our basic hair design. This one looks ridiculous in here, but let me just waste it in this area. Hopefully it's just gone in a nice transition. Okay, I like it much better. So there we are. Now, what happens if you want to use it as a reference, as a 3D reference, because you want to start working on the hairs that you have? So you can go to Subtool. And of course, we have a lot of things we have already, and for this, just to simplify things, I will select the model. This was the original. Ctrl F and hit on hair test. That's the folder name, and just to make the visibility here, and just drop in and select. You can do this as well, so just select and going one level up, and it will automatically fit in. So let me just go in here and just tap on these. So then closing this up. Okay, we want to have a copy of this model, because we want to select the whole head, the whole hair, and move it aside just to have a good reference. This was good for every situation, not just like this. The technique is usually duplicating the model, but this model has resolution and everything. So what we'll do, Ctrl Shift D, duplicate it. I will just put it under the stuff and rename it to just head. Low. Okay, head low. And let me check how many polygons we have. This is about 1 million. For sure, we don't really need just a hair test that many polygons. So we'll reduce the subdivision level and see how it goes. Let me go to solo to really see the changes. And depending on the topology that we have here, this one is already smooth. Let me go Shift-D, one less lower. Okay, that's fair enough. Subdivision 2, but honestly, this is already too low. I would just going back and delete the lower resolution, delete the higher resolution, and then we have this density. We can use a knife, and there you go, if it remembers, and just cut off everything that we don't need. And this is a decent head, and as you see, this is about 60,000. If you go further, you can use decimation master, but we'll use it later on. But right now, this is just fine. And okay, and as a subtool, I'll put it in the folder. So if the folder is open and we are at the bottom, then we can use the arrow. All right, so what's the point of having it in a folder? We can move the whole things as one, transpose set, but solo mode is on, so we want to turn this off. Perspective is on, just to make sure, and this should be turned on, and it is automatically turned on if you are using transpose set. So let me symmetry should be turned off, and let me drag this and move it away on the front and move it away on the left. Okay, so you can trace your things. So once you have a general idea, you see the volumes, you don't have to hesitate too much on other things. Okay, so that's it for now, and let me leave this one and press Q, and going back and how to prepare for the hair and the hair strands in general. So after you have this, the hair strands is usually, this is a kind of a stylized hair. There's so many ways to create hair. This is one technique that could be used for solid hair. It's not the fastest, it's not the slowest, but you have great control. My advice to learning this technique is because you can learn not just how to generate hair, but how to deal with hairstyles. And once you know this technique, you will be able to judge if other hair techniques are suits for your needs or not. Because you can do it in many ways, as I said, but the logic, the idea will be the same. It should look like hair. Shift F, and the hair strand. No, you don't need this. And this is just a basic primitive 3D object. So we have initialize on, and initialize in general. As you know, we are tied to the bounding box of 1 meters by 1 meters. So that means 2 by 2 cube. And this is why we can't go any higher here. Let me just set it to 15, tab, and 15 and tab. And we don't need radius, but we need 32. That's maybe 16. So we don't need a crazy resolution. If you wish, you can do it. You can do it higher. Right now, I will just do a fairly low. And V divide, that will be about 40, 45. Okay, so the goal here is to have some squarish polygons. Okay, this will be just a simple hair strand. And cap sub ratio, I like to have some caps on it. We can always delete them later on if we wish. I will show you how to do it. So maybe 15. Oh yeah, it works. Okay, so if you have to delete them or select them or do anything like that, we can do it. Let me just go in here and make it a polymesh. So now this polymesh model, this is a single polygon group. If you want to assign automatic polygroups, you can go with groups by normals, and this is what happens. You have now 3 different polygroups for each. This one's great if you do it right in the beginning. Now, don't forget that perspective is turned off for me, so I will use BMN. This is the Move Infinite brush, BMN. And the goal here is to just create a little bit of mess around, right? And I'm focusing on these points as well. The reason we are using the BMN brush, it's because Move Infinite will allow us to move everything in the same time. Okay, so all the points below are moved with Move Infinite. And we don't have to mask and do this crazy thing, which one is, it was a long time hiatus. It had a long time hiatus in ZBrush, and other softwares used it with great success. So I think it's Joseph's project. It was Joseph Durst. Yeah, okay, so just make some changes. And there we go. A few things here and there. What's going on? Okay, and just switching to move and flatten this thing a little bit. And yeah, because you know with hair strands we don't need to go crazy about them in thickness. And this is one thing. Now, if you wish, you can create more in different sizes and other things. I will create like a straight one like this, and a simple, a little bit more pointed one. So this is one model, and rename it to. Let me go in here and rename it to hair one. Hair one. Or hair A001. This is the A type, and by default, let me just Shift-D and duplicate this guy, and I will copy it and paste it somewhere else, just to have it at hands. Now, okay, let me go back to the original one, and let's see the number 2. Okay, where we are. This is where we are. I had a copy. We don't need the copy now. So deleting that copy, and just use a simple taper. Okay. Use a simple taper. This one is kind of a all-along taper, which one is not needed all the time. And I will not make it super pointy, just simply tapering down and using this for that. So this one's already tapered. The other one is not tapered. And this will be the A, and I will just hit on accept. There you go, accept. And here we have the other model. We don't need the star. Let me hit delete the star. So now I can see visually that what type of models we have. This would be here B type. Okay, so naming can be really useful if you have so tiny viewports. You can have previews. So where's the preview? there's a preview somewhere. Maybe in draw mode. Where, yeah, they're in draw mode. There's a preview. So if you have so many tiny things, that could be a great idea to put it on your workspace. However, it consumes a lot, but you can actually just drag it, and you can even rotate around and look how it works. Okay, so this is a preview for ourselves. Okay, nice. Okay, I'll stop playing. Now there we are. We're going back to the head, and with the head, we want to insert our new hair. So here's the feature, insert, and where we are, we have hair A001. Where are you? Where are you now? Move. Okay, why are you not visible? What's happening here? Okay, so we should make it visible. We have no solo mode on. Okay, I will fix this. Just a second. Okay, so whatever reason, this is fairly small. So if we just zoom in and look at here, this is there, but it's just very, very, very tiny. So I'm just scaling it up. Usually you can do it by 10 times scale at once. So let me just crank this up and make sure that this is centered. And we are putting in the front and rotate it around with 90 degrees. Okay, so there we are. Maybe we're back, and Ctrl+Shift+D just to make a copy. And I will start with these side hairs. But we can start the first layer. So the first layer is coming from from this direction. So these are the first layers, and then coming the others. So technically, just how to do it. Now the first thing is I'm holding down the Alt key and moving it up in this position because it will be much easier to manipulate. And looking for the parting line. So now where's the parting line? So this is somewhere here. Okay, a little bit over. Let me do it. It's a little bit over. I will start from there. So that would be pretty much okay. And starting from here, and this one's already a little bit behind the ear, so that looks correct. Now just simply what I like to do is I'll always make a copy if I can, just to make sure that everything is pretty much aligned. And as you see, I'm paying attention to not really rotating in crazy ways. So I'm rotating by 90 degrees or whatever, but then not twisting this too much early on, because we are using the blend curve. And blend curve will increase the numbers and set it to 3. Okay, so this is our blend curve. And what we can do is we can drag these points and move them around. Okay, just let me quickly select this and move them around. And starting with 3 points, it's really beneficial because you don't have to worry too much on so many things so early on. So I'll make it slightly longer, make it pulled a little bit out, and we can actually just change the thickness. We can rotate it as well. So try to make it as good as possible from the beginning, and then once you have it, you can still make a copy. So yeah, but right now I'll just increase the numbers with 1 step. So that means now we have a little bit more control. The last points are the curvature will be cleaner. So just by increasing the number of control points doesn't necessarily make your life any better or easier. Now this is rotates behind the ear, so this is why I have to make sure that these are working fine. And I'm turning on Shift F and watching for the wires as well. So yes, this should be a little bit closer to the head. This should be also a little bit closer. So this is tracing the head, tracing the silhouette. Okay, moving it a little bit more out. Is it working? Yes. This ear is not particularly it's good, but it's usually here you have more cavity. Okay, so there's not as smooth as like this. But if you have worries about the hair, this is why it has some tight spots. Alright, the other thing is I'm lifting this up slightly, and this will be lower, this will be a little bit up. So usually we have some more strength around the root of the hair. Okay, this is pulling a little bit more out. Now this is the moment when I'll increase further the numbers of points. Where's my control? So I will increase the points a little bit more. And the reason is mainly this. So I can put this in more into the hairline. So I can work on this. And of course we can use it with a brush. We can make it perfect with a brush. But this is a nice curviness. It adds a nice curviness to the whole thing. And then comes the next part where we can create the first line of hairs where we have a little bit more that's coming from this direction. Okay, I will not make the complete hair because you will get it, and eventually it can take hours, but just to have the rough idea. So now we have this one, and maybe a shorter version of this hair could be used to make the necessary corrections. Okay, so what's next? I will make a copy of this one. Select this guy using. Okay, just we have this mask on because I made a copy. All right, let me hit on split mask points. And yep, and there we are, selecting this guy and using the tool and make it fit, and using the Alt key to make it fit in the very end, and using the bend curve, but not yet. Let me move this guy into place, and Q and Ctrl+Shift+D, duplicate, and V. When you're using just control and duplicating this way, this is why it makes a copy. This was great if you have teeth and everything and you don't want to split right away. But right now this is fair enough. So let me just go in here, Ctrl+W to have a different polygon group. And now, rotating around. This will be somewhere here in the parting line. So I'm just looking for the nice position, the great position, maybe not as low as this. So maybe I'll keep it here because don't forget that we have the bangs. So the bangs might come in, and there'll be some overlap. And I want to make that clean as much as possible. Okay, so if we are having this one, yeah, do we have the points? Bend curve? Yeah, we have the points, correct. So it remembers our points as expected. And we can go with bend curve, and don't forget it remembers our settings, but we want to go back and set it to 3 at the beginning and just drag these points until we have a rough and nice idea about how these should look. Okay, so this will be here, and this may be rotated around in this manner. Yeah, we need furthermore control points. We want to keep it here. Now it's time to increase the number of points and add the curviness. And the curviness. This one's going well. This one should be a little bit more in. This one should be a little bit more out. Okay, there we go. We can actually rotate these things around, as you know. Alright, so just to fit a little bit better. If these points are too close, the mesh will just be crooked. So pay attention to that one. And some things can be done with this bend curve, but many just can do. So you can smooth it out, make the correct adjustments you wish for. Look for different angles, different views, top view, left view, whatever, just to make sure that everything is working fine. And then I can increase the number of points. Where's my control? Here we go. Increase the number of points with 1, and then we can lift this up and push this in a little bit more into the head and make sure it's not twisting too much. There we go. Make the changes. Right. Okay, make it a nice flow. All right, and maybe this one should be a little bit more out. Give it some room. So that is basically the technique. Now, if you have a hair that's normally in a fairly good place, you can go and select the model, duplicate it, and use the move mode. W, if you hit again W, you will be able to move. Now we'll just move it in here. And what I'm doing is basically going back to the cross sections and give it a try to reduce the number of points. And sometimes it works, sometimes it's doable. So now we have a little bit less of points, and just reduce the overall thickness. Okay, so we can scale it in multiple ways. This is squeeze, this is scale. Scale in general will scale it. And this one definitely enjoys a little bit of a scaling. This one as well. So this is why we're not worried too much if it's not pointy. We can use this to fine-tune things, and then just lifting this up, rotate to make sure that there's an overlap. You can see, so we want to have a nice overlap between these strands. So moving this in a correct manner. Yeah, that ear is not can't hold all the hair in the world, but certainly we can do a lot. Scale and just move it around. Maybe move it in front, just to have a little bit better intersection. Okay, let's hold on. Yep, and rotate around. And I will rotate around this as well, slightly. Switching back to the higher numbers. And the higher numbers will allow me to have a little bit better control in here. So that's how it goes, right? And Ctrl W just to make sure the color is different. So once you attach the hair, for example, using merge, you can still use a move topology brush or something similar just to have a little bit better control. Okay, so that is about the hair. And as you see, this is just time, and including the explanation and all the preparation, we had about 40 minutes to make it. And if you spend another hour, 2 hours, this could be a nice and fairly even hair. And the resolution is about 690. So if you use something similar in settings, you can get a hair in not in the 10K range, but in the 20K range, fairly easy. Okay, so let me go and switch to clothing. The first thing is, let me just stop. No, just clean this up. So Q and Shift move F, and I will keep these hairs in here, but some of the hairs will be turned off, and this one as well, and this one is turned off. And I want to turn off the visibility of the model as well. And this guy is selected, and because it's selected, it will show anyways. Let me just move it. Hold on Shift key and press on this button to move everything to the bottom. This hair is everything to the bottom, and we have the other hairs. Okay, so the other hairs, I will create a new folder that will be hair V1, and just keep things organized, because we will do clothing, and clothing will add more and more parts. And we have another hair. Let me change the visible count. And if we don't pay attention to organizing things too early on, it will be just a lot of mess. So these are hair spares. So Control F and hair spares. So these are parts, the ingredients of a friseur. So there we go. Visibility turned off. Selecting the female. There we go. And we have some hair on her. Looking great. Okay, now how to move forward. And from this direction, it actually looks promising. When you smooth it out, you can still paint. You can do a lot of things. So, for example, if you press Ctrl D, now it's smoother, and you can use any type of brush. And actually, you can create a UV and use the textures. You can create a displacement map later on. So if you want to make it as a solid hair but look detailed, it's perfectly doable. So this is about solid hair in general. One more thing that come into mind, you can create hair cards with similar techniques, and there's a built-in brush for hair cards if you are interested in game. If you want to go and use in a kind of a mid-range thing that has some details, but it's not as plain as a hair card, you can use a different approach. Let me just go there and show this. So creating a mesh, no. Instead of using a plain 3D, Shift F to make it sure that we have it visible, and this is our plane. We can make it polymesh 3D. We can just Control Shift and using select rectangle and select just a part of it, like this part, and delete the hidden parts. So again, if you don't have it, geometry, modify topology, and delete hidden. And now we have this model. We can reset this model in the center. So let me just reorient it and reset this to center. Okay, so now it's back in normal. We don't have to worry about too many things. I will use a subdivision for now. Control D to subdivide it and delete the lower resolution. So now we have a nice little mesh. Going to the top viewport, Q, and it's barely visible. So what to do if it's barely visible? We can go to geometry, and I will just turn on dynamic subdivision and enable thickness. So this thickness will help us to see what we actually have, and this is just temporarily, this is not a real thickness. And we can use BMN and just alter things around. And yep, and pause subdiv smooth. No, we don't really need smoothness at all. We just want the thickness. Okay, so this will be used in other areas as well. So I'm just making a little bit of a messy thing. Okay, so that's basically our hair strand. But now, if we turn off dynamic, this is flat. Okay, so Shift F, and this is flat. You can use this the same model if you want to. If you're disturbed by these angles, we can go and fix them manually by using this simple drag, zoom in. That's one thing. Or when you're subdividing and using divide, Control D, that I did, you can turn off SMT. So now we'll just do it by this. Nothing crazy. Just eyeballing it. And of course, you can use anything else. Now this will be renamed to flat hair. And the great deal with this is you can later on add thickness to it. However, the curvature is way off. One thing that you can do is, let me just going back to fake a better looking thing, is BMN, that you can create a natural arc right away, and this arc can help. So let me turn off, and now going back to the original model. Where are we? There we go, and subtool and going insert. And we have flat hair, and flat hair is 2 meters, so this is resized. Let me just shrink it down, rotate it. Yeah, holding shift and just scale it down to fit a little bit better. Okay, so this is again, this is a nice Control Shift D to make a Control Shift D folder. Yeah, are we in the folder? Yes, we are in the folder. Excuse me. So I will just move it to the top and Control Shift D, and we move it here. And as always, we can just hold down Alt key, holding it up, moving it to the top position. So now this could be kind of a simple layer, single layer hair that you can use an alpha on it in your other application, or just make some changes. It's up to you, but the same way you can use. And as you see, it's not even cut. This is great if you have an alpha painted. and it's really easy to retopologize, really easy to use UV master, for example, because you don't have thickness. You don't have to really unfold things. It's just simply will lay flat. So let me go with the bend curve. And of course the number should be set to a lower number, not that low. This one. And just pulling. This is basically the same technique. I will just show quickly what's going on. And also we can rotate it around. We can scale down the tips. Okay, and just move it. You can see how this is really neat and nice. And but this way, again, you have no thickness. The principles are practically the same. It's pretty easy to create these. And once you have more, now I'll just butcher it just a second because I want to show you that, yeah, you can add some other fits. You can twist things around to make it a little spice things up. But right now, my goal here is just to add one more segment and maybe lift this and reorient to fit better with the existing areas. Okay, it's my fault. It's just bringing back. So this is great if you have if you want to keep things low and want to use texture on it. So Q and Ctrl Shift D. Let me duplicate this guy and show you something that helps. So here we have these two, and these are actually sharing the same polygon group. So the color is the same. So I will just quickly select this one and merge down just to demonstrate. If you have, imagine that you have all the hairs this way. So this is great if you have just a simple, very basic color hair. But if you have to make UVs and other things, it could be painful. So that the simple plain type of hair can help a lot with this. And later on, you can always fake things by adding the subdivision modifier, the dynamic subdivision modifier. So now I'm just merging down and hitting OK. And these have now, this one is masked, but it has a polygon group. So what you can do, especially if you have multiple things merged down, like a whole hair or frisure, you can really work and make corrections with this. What you can do is, however, it's really a neat way to do it, is hitting on auto groups, and it will reassign new groups for each hair strand. The colors will be somewhat similar. It's using like a gradient, but if you're, for example, you want to isolate parts, you can do it with a selection. You can use a BMT brush, that is the move topology call, and for example, I can pull this out. If there's an intersection problem, I can press this one inside, drag over another, maybe here's another thing that you can use, PIN, pinch, and if pinch is BPI, sorry, BPI, and then you can use it. Now if it drags the other one, don't forget that we have the masking features with the brushes. We have already discussed it in another class. So we have auto masking. You can actually just mask by polygroups, which one is super useful. So when you are using mask by polygroups, it will just automatically recognize you are using a different polygon group, and that way you can really mess up things. You can even do some other ways, like inflate, BIN. It's inflate, and the reason I like to have inflate, it's just it can really push out things and just add a nice volume to the parts. And of course, right now I'm using a mouse just because it's switched because of editing, so that inflate can really help, and also polygon groups can be cranked up. And once you're done with the modeling part, and you want to use textures, for example, in other applications, or you want to go into the polypaint part, this is absolutely so you can control these subdivided. You will have now a low resolution, and you will have now a high resolution model, which one is awesome to have, and you can paint on this projection and other things. But right now, let me walk down and actually let me delete these because I want to use quickly the UV master. So there we are. We have these two polygroups. We can go into, where are you, plugins, where are you, Z plugin and UV master. and polygroups for sure. We don't need to do any crazy thing. Just hit on unwrap and click on flatten, and there we go. So this is the thing that you're well looking for. Now, if you are using, for example, stock hair, or you want to paint hair in different application, like in Photoshop or something, you're gonna create alphas, opacities, and other things. You can do hold on, go to move mode, hold on Control, and tap on a model, and you can rotate and realign these things. And hold Control, click on a model, make it aligned, then just move it, and there we go. And we can select all and just scale them. Okay, so it tries to make it very effective. This is why it is rotated. But if you have hair strands, you can create one row in the top, one row in the bottom, and that's usually enough. And you can just simply paint through here. It's just really easy to paint. It's really easy to copy an existing paint that goes back. Okay, and so I can go just unflatten and see, and going back flatten, and there you go. So now it's flipped over, but it's already there. Okay, so unflatten, and there we go. So imagine that you have all the hair strands. You can select them, you can scale them, you can align them in a better layout, and you have something that's not exactly solid hair. So it's not like printable solid hair or something, or not like cartoonish, because in cartoon style we definitely want to go with this one. It's a little bit closer to realistic, but the technique is more like a stylized hair. Okay, so that's it about the hairs. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time with the clothing. All right, and goodbye everyone.